CSR means corporate social responsibility, and the European Union defines it as the responsibility of organizations for the impact on society. And so that's obviously a very broad definition, but if we have to try to unpack it, it means that basically organizations have different responsibilities towards different groups of stakeholders. And basically, we considered that next to the legal and economic obligations that they have, so to respect the law and to meet some financial or economic objectives, they will also have to address more ethical or discretionary responsibilities towards society. And when we define CSR, we also get to hear other concepts such as sustainability, philanthropy, cause-related marketing, social entrepreneurship, sometimes good governance. And so for you guys, probably something that you might have heard about too is the SDG goals from the United Nations, or ISO or GRI. So these types of standards that exist, and you probably have seen their logos on different companies and different products throughout your different experience. CSR is important for all types of sports organizations, not only professional sports organizations or only sport companies. CSR concerns all types of organizations around the globe, so including professional sports organizations, but also amateur grassroots level. And so CSR is really important because it has really become a strategic component of these different organizations. And especially because it can impact the strategic management of sports organization, because they will increasingly consider new strategic issues. They will also, such as environmental or sustainability, such as the integration of disabled community or different public that are usually isolated. New stakeholders will be integrated in the strategy formulation, but also in the implementation, such as using collaborations or foundations or trust, but also new ways of evaluating the performance of the organization. So not only the sport performance, not only the economic performance, but also potentially the social performance of the organization. Next to the fact that we consider that sport and society are really entangled and that sport mirrors broader social problems in society, um, many organizations have been really developing CSR agendas in different ways. But the reason why sports organizations should be so socially responsible is because CSR can have an impact on the strategic management of sports organizations, because it might involve considering new strategic issues such as sustainability, such as community development, such as disability questions. It also involves integrating new stakeholders in the strategy formulation and implementation. So for instance, clubs or leagues will increasingly create collaborations between business or between nonprofit organizations. They will also use what we call foundations or trusts to develop their actions. But it also means that organizations implementing CSR will increasingly evaluate or will think about their performance in different ways. So not only the economic performance, but some will increasingly add this social performance. And you increasingly see rankings that show that. And so if we had to summarize, we could say that there are different benefits that are expected from CSR, more organizational. So you would probably hope that you would be able to improve the climate of your organization, the board climate, but also the employees' motivation and engagement. You could also consider that commercially it can also improve your reputation, the loyalty of your customers. You could also have new partners. It could also reduce some tensions that you might sometimes have between economic and social objectives. And sport-wise, when developing some new programs for young players, that can also be actually a very good opportunity for sport clubs to really recruit and train new players that would swap eventually in the other programs that clubs might implement. So part of the different examples that occur in this context are integration related education, health and physical activity, discrimination, antisocial behavior, disability, sometimes peace building environment. And so I've listed some examples that relate, I would say, to different types of organizations. So if you think about companies, we increasingly see that um, in the industry, in the sport industry, for instance, Nike collaborates with sport non-profit organization like the Homeless World Cup to really develop some specific actions to help this social organization and to meet their own CSR purpose. You also see increasingly professional sport clubs and sport leagues that develop community level programs. So you would see that uh, through in Belgium, for instance, where I'm from, the Professional Football League has donated a lot of money for food banks. I think it's also happening right now in the UK with the coronavirus. You have other examples in the sport federation level with some LGBT actions that might be also developed by sports federations or sustainability programs by international or national federations. In many sports, of course, not only football. You have cases in hockey, you have cases in baseball in the US, in football, in American football, in Australian football, in many professional and less professional cases. You can also see that CSR also can be implemented in the case of sport events, such as sustainability programs. And of course, at the grassroots level, sport clubs are also increasingly developing these types of projects, probably less from a strategic perspective, more from the heart and the will to develop things because they have a problem to deal with. But if you think about the refugee crisis, sport clubs have increasingly developed integration programs, but also actions to develop CSR. And of course, another element that we could think of is also some individuals, so famous players or coaches who also get into these types of social actions, such as Pep Guardiola, who has just made a donation for the virus. But every day in the press, we can find examples of what we would call CSR.
Great.